I think our female supremacist culture is very disingenuous and just blatantly dishonest. There's a collective dishonesty in our culture that I actually want to call out by reading this article, because it's obvious what's going on here, right? Women are being allowed to murder and kill children because the children are seen as their own property. Children are seen as an extension of the mother, which is actually a completely psychotic, dehumanizing view of children, as far as I'm concerned. It's not fair on children. Children deserve consideration, respect, and protection from society. Children do not ask to be born. Children are the definition of innocent, and they're powerless, and they're not responsible for their actions. So let's read this article, and I'm going to just add my analysis to this. UK News from Thursday, the May the 26th, 2022. Women, quote, overlooked as possible child abusers. That is weasel words as far as I'm concerned. It's not overlooked as possible child abusers because it's been known for years. The science is out there. It's been known for years that the vast majority of people who harm and murder children are female. It's women who do the vast majority of child abuse, child neglect, and child murder, right? So it's not overlooked. A more accurate word would be let off the hook, right? Given a pass, enabled, right? The authorities actually collude with these mothers. So our society is actually pro-child abuse. Actually, they're child abuse advocates because it's female supremacy. Let's carry on reading. Child protection workers may have assumed that women were less than likely than men to harm their children. A review into the murders of Arthur Limbango Hughes and Star Hobson said. Okay, this is very, they're putting it across very softly in a very meek and mild manner. Child protection workers, social workers in the UK are feminists. They're feminist trained and feminist brainwashed. I've known this for a long time because I've actually spoken to non-feminist social workers, and some have actually left the field because of this, right? There's blatant misandrists and feminists in social services, and they're always going to let women off the hook. They're always going to side with the women, the mothers, over the well-being of the children, right? Because they're feminists. Feminists are female supremacists. It's all about the whims and the wants of the woman. Always support the woman unconditionally. Unless it's a female child being harmed by another woman, then that female child will be thrown under the bus, obviously. Let's carry on reading. The way child protection is approached in England needs to change fundamentally. Following their deaths, the Child Safeguarding Practice Review Panel said. Yes, it does need to change fundamentally. You need to kick the feminists out. You can't fix it until the feminists are gone. They have to be gone. They have to be rooted out and barred from working from the government, period, and in the public sector. Its national review found that fatal abuses suffered by Arthur, age 6, and Star, 16 months, Jesus Christ, are not isolated incidents, but reflective of wider problems with poor information sharing and weak decision making, right? It's not weak decision making, okay? It's, from the feminist perspective, correct decision making, because feminism is female supremacy. The whims and wants of women come before everything else. And if children have to die to pander to women, so be it. Because feminism is female supremacism. It says social services is infested by female feminists. Concern raised by their wider family members were too often disregarded and not properly investigated by the police and social workers, the review said. Yes, because children are seen as the property of their mother, right? Star was murdered in her home in Knightley, West Yorkshire in September 2020 by her mother's girlfriend, Savannah Brockchill, who was jailed for life. Arthur was abused and beaten to death by Emma Tusson, his stepmother, in Southall, West Midlands in June 2020. She was jailed for life, you see. Stepmothers are the biggest risk factor to children. Women have got a social dominance instinct, right? The idea that women are submissive, right, and nurturing and caring, that has to be thrown out the window, okay? Women are socially dominant, and they're high socially dominance orientated, so to speak. They've got a sphere of influence, their family unit, they're the centre of it, me, because they're narcissists. The men pander to them, and the children, they might keep the children around, or they might not. If they don't want the children around, they'll get rid of them, one way or the other. right? And stepmothers are a big danger to children. They don't care about children who are not biologically related to them. They're dangerous enough when they are biologically related to them, but when they're not biologically related to them, the kids' gloves are off. There's all sorts of things they'll do. A lot of the time, though, it's subtle and it's emotional damage. It's not normal extreme stuff like this, like murder. In Starr's case, allegations and concerns raised by her family were deemed to be malicious and motivated by prejudice against Starr's mother. Frankie Smith and her same-sex partner Brooke Chill, and dismissed by social workers because the social workers are feminists. The review said effective child protection work requires practitioners to unpack biases and assumptions that may impact on how they perceive and assess the risks to a child. It's not just biases, it's they like women better than men. They can't bear to break children away from their mothers because children are the property. You know, oh no, don't take that stereo or TV away from that mother. She's so attached to it. That's how children are seen, as objects. The concept of objectification in general is nonsense, but in a lot of ways it's feminist projection. Feminists and women see children as objects, or a lot of them. Well, all feminists see their children as objects. A lot of women see their children as objects as well. This includes assumptions and biases related to culture, ethnicity, gender, and sexuality. So, if we could unpack that, feminist social workers assume that men should be kept away from children, even if they're not dangerous, because the male subhumans, how dare they want to be close to their own children? But mothers, no matter how unstable or unhinged they are, the children are their property, and she'll be upset if she's taken away from the children. So fuck the well-being and the safety of the children. The mother comes first. That's how it works. Such assumptions impacted how child protection workers understood Arthur Starr's daily experience and made decisions about their safety. In other words, they didn't give a fuck. It went on and include potentially the perception of women as unlikely perpetrators of harm to children. This is complete fucking nonsense. Okay, I don't care. They're feminists. It's not a mistake, right? It's not a mistaken assumption. The science has been out there for decades. It's a well-known fact that mothers are the greatest danger to their children before any other group, before stepfathers, before fathers, right? Mothers are the primary killers and abusers of children, right? And if female social workers are not trained and told about this, it's because the feminist social workers who control the training have suppressed the information, right? They're purposely suppressing this information because they don't want to tell the truth about female nature, and they don't want to protect children from mothers, because like mothers come first. The panel said the way child protection is approached in England should change fundamentally, with a national child protection board to coordinate policy. That might be a good idea or not, but the problem is, if the national child protection board is coordinated and it's feminist run, that'll just expand feminist power, right? You have to get the feminists out, because a coordinated feminist run child protection board will still let mothers kill children and abuse them and neglect them with near impunity. Annie Hudson, chairwoman of the panel, said, at the moment, each professional who comes into contact with a child hold one piece of the jigsaw. Yeah, each feminist social worker who comes into contact with a child is not going to give a fuck about the well-being of the child. She's going to be friendly with the female mother, and it's going to be supportive and a big enabler of whatever the mother wants, you know. Our reforms would bring together experts from social work, police, and health into one team so they could have a better picture of what is happening to the child, probably feminist experts, listening to relatives' concerns and taking actions to protect children. And that's the end of the article. So, feminists, social workers allow mothers to kill, beat, neglect, and abuse the children. And even when men do this, fathers and stepfathers do this, vast majority of the time, the mothers are enabling it because they like their partner. It's their man, my relationship. I want to stick with him, and he's more important than the well-being of the children to these women. So even when men do the abuse of children, at least 80% of the time, it's enabled by the father, because it's highly doubtful that the woman's unaware what's going on. She just doesn't care. So there's actually law in England called joint enterprise, and mothers who enable child abuse should be given the same charge as fathers doing the abuse, because there's been cases of, you see a murder, you don't report it, you get done under joint enterprise, and you get the same time as the killer. So I don't see why we can't do the same to women who enable abuse of their children. Like the lesbian couple that killed that 18-month-old, right? The mother did less of the violence, but her partner killed a child, she knew what was going on. So, and she got a lesser sentence. She should have got the same sentence. Okay. So we, as a society, we've got to decide what comes first: children, right, or women. And it's not even about coming first. What's more important, the safety of children or the whims of women, right? And at the moment, it's the whims of women that come first, right? Female preference, the female prerogative, yeah? And that's absolutely fucking disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting and it's shameful. And we need to get all feminists out of social work, not forgetting that other branches of the government, we need to get them out. And if we don't get feminists out of social work, more children are just going to die at the hands of women. And it could be easily prevented, but it's not going to be. So this reform, even if it goes through a coordinated national child protection board, it's not going to work until they get rid of the feminists. Get all feminists out. Ban feminism before it bans you.